Will Golden State win the title? Bet Chris, bookmaker, yes, minus 190, no, plus 155. I believe that's the highest in a long time. You even got to go back to the Jordan Bulls. Cavs Warriors final, yes, minus 165. I don't think anybody can beat the Warriors in a 7-game series in the West. We'll see what the Celtics do. Maybe they can make a big trade here. You're hearing Jimmy Butler, and now you see the Cousins report that maybe Ranadive wants to make a move. Oh, if the Celtics can make a big trade, the East becomes very interesting.
Yeah, and I'm with you conceptually that there's no one that's going to beat Golden State. This entire regular season in the West is to see who's the second best team in the West is. The Warriors are minus, and let's throw those odds up now. Take a look at the odds to win the West. You think there's any value on the Lakers or the Suns there? Yeah. No, thank you. Golden State minus 370 to win the West, which tells you what a class difference there is between the Warriors and anybody else. And well, there's not another team that is capable. The question that we have to ask when we look at the Western Conference, A, who can we make money with? And B, who's the second best team in the West? Is it San Antonio? Is it Houston? Is it somebody from the middle of the pack that's going to come out and make a run in the postseason? Those are, in my mind, the biggest questions to discuss for the second half. Or really, as we call it the second half, it's the final third of the NBA season. The season's already 2/3 over.
I still like Houston. I like a rested Houston team. The schedule's caught up to them there down the stretch, but it comes down to matchups, too. They'll give San Antonio fits if they meet up in the second round there. But, and also it's a tough, I know they won at Golden State already, but that's a tough matchup. Well, hell, it is. Anybody's going against Golden State. Okay, tip number 1, don't try to make money with bad teams down the stretch.
Yeah, and this is so key. When you talk about the NBA, you're going to find all these teams that have extra value as they're tanking in March and into April. Oh, look, there's an extra 3. My power rating number isn't this high. It should only be laying 11, and they're laying 14. If there's one strategy, one proven, time-tested NBA strategy of the second half of the season, God forbid, don't try to bet the bad teams. Don't try to bet the squads. And especially Portland stands out as a team. I don't want to even try to get on Portland, okay? A playoff team from last year, a veteran squad with higher expectations. They're already dead last in the NBA when it comes to their point spread record, 22-34 ATS for the Blazers. And I would expect continued ATS failures for Portland over the back half of the campaign. But they're not the only bad team, and I'm not going to be looking to bet on as the NBA season goes through its stretch run.
Yeah, and that leads us to number 2. One of the biggest disappointments so far in the first half, the T-Wolves.
Yeah, and Minnesota didn't play any defense. And that's obviously although they played better in the stretch leading up to the All-Star break. When you look at the money losers from the first half, Portland stands out. Minnesota stands out. Utah's another team that's worth talking about. They've been overvalued in the markets. They have really strong advanced metric numbers, especially on defense, and we've seen a propensity for the Jazz to blow leads and be unable to cover margins as chalk. So Minnesota and Utah have been bad point spread teams early through the first 2/3 of the campaign, and I'm not convinced either squad turns it around after the break.
Is there still value with the Rockets, who kind of limped into the break as they had some tough losses down the stretch, but they had some injuries. Anderson was sick, Gordon was sick, and they had a lot of road games.
Well, yeah, they had that brutal scheduling stretch. I mean, absolutely brutal throughout the month of January and into February. I think it started even before Christmas. Now, we are talking about the team that is the single best point spread team in the Western Conference through the first half of the campaign. And I think they may still be overvalued or undervalued as we head into the second half of the campaign. There's not a ton of market respect for Houston. There's not a ton of market respect for D'Antoni or Harden or the Rockets as a whole. That's why they've made their backers so much money, Paul, and I think that has all the potential to continue. When you talk around Vegas and say, who's the second best team in the West, I'm not hearing a lot of Houstons from the sharpest minds out there, and that tells me that if the Rockets really are the second best team in the West, and I think they are, that there's money to be made still with the Houston Rockets.
I don't think there's any value with the Clippers. Their bench is so bad. What do you think?
See, you look at the Clips and another team that made a nice little run under the radar right before the All-Star break. They had a good road trip. They came home. They took care of business. I think there might be value with the Clippers. Even if they're not legit contenders to win the title, we're talking about a squad that A's been there before. B is looking to come together. C hasn't played that well so far this season. And D, the markets are not in love with. And that may be the biggest issue with LA, is that the markets are a little bit light on this team. And they have a chance to play to be the second or third best team in the West going into the playoffs. So I think you're more likely to make money with the Clippers than going against them right now. But that's just a gut reaction.
Okay, and the trade deadline 4 days away, and we'll do more on this on the Eastern Conference Thursday because maybe the Bulls move Butler. But I'll tell you, the Pelicans, they were in the talks, the reports from Wojo about getting the Kings and Cousins. I mean, the Pelicans want to make a move here and try to get that 8 seed.
They sure do. And New Orleans is looking to be buyers at the deadline. And I don't know if they're going to get a big name like Boogie to come there. But from all indications, New Orleans is a team that wants the 8 seed. They played like they wanted the 8 seed in that last week before the break. Remember, they went straight up on the road as dogs at Minnesota, Phoenix, and Memphis. Now, Minnesota and Phoenix obviously not elite squads, but what was key in my mind, watching the Pelicans play those games, there was a sense of urgency for New Orleans. And you have a team that's looking to be a buyer and playing with a sense of urgency. You know, you have though I don't know if Anthony Davis winning the All-Star MVP hurts value-wise for New Orleans, but they certainly have that type of potential to be a moneymaker coming out of the break.
Good tweet here from Joe Fortenbaugh, and you can take advantage of this too out there, guys. First game back after the break. Here's Fortenbaugh's tweet. Over the last 3 years, NBA teams have combined to post an over-under record of 54, 35, and 1. That's 60% to the over in their first game back off the break, Teddy.
Yeah, and again, it's not necessarily something you want to bet blindly, but you can anticipate that teams will be a step slow defensively coming out of the break. That first game back has been strong to the over in recent years. And if you're on the fence on a play, well, should I play this over or not? This little stat may get you to the window in a day, on a night, Thursday and Friday, when we will be looking for overs to cash.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.
Hey guys, for the full video, go to sbrpicks.com.